And now we continue our coverage with a special edition of Arirang뉴스. The president of Indonesia is currently in South Korea for a 3-day visit. And in just a few moments, we will bring you live coverage of the official welcoming ceremony ahead of the summit between Presidents Myung and Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto. And while we wait for that to begin, we're joined today by Dr. Bambang Riyanto, professor at the Department of Malay-Indonesian Studies at Hankuk University of Foreign Studies. Professor Riyanto, thanks for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
So how significant is the Indonesian president's visit to South Korea?
So I think Indonesian president visit to South Korea is very good strategic for our country to strengthen our partnership between Indonesia and Korea, especially in the defense program partnership. Yeah.
Right. And you just talked about partnership, and a lot of attention is on what the two leaders will discuss regarding the KF-21 development program. To give our viewers some background, why did South Korea and Indonesia decide to cooperate on that issue in the first place?
Yeah, honestly, this is not my field, but as I know, the program is talking about Indonesia and Korea want to join to build some fighter jet, and they are together will be increase about the defense partnership in the future. So when Indonesia also will be a huge market from Korea in the domestic from the military product from Korea. So that's the background of the KF-21 programs.
Right, and how might this issue, this KF-21 partnership, be addressed in today's meeting?
Yeah, I think President Prabowo Subianto visit to Korea is to make sure the cooperation runs well. So it is reported that Indonesia will buy around 60 fighter jets in this program, and in the return, Indonesia will receive technology transfer from the Korea. So my president is a commitment strengthened about this program to visit this meeting today.
And why is defense cooperation with Indonesia so important for South Korea? Because especially we're at a time of great geopolitical uncertainty with the conflict going on in the Middle East and war going on in Ukraine.
Indonesia has been a strategic partner for South Korea is many years ago. So we are old friends, and Indonesia have a good location, strategic location in the Southeast Asia, and if the Korea and Indonesia have some partnership in the defense program, it will be good for both countries, especially in the defense military system.
Right, and it will also help, enhance defense cooperation with other Southeast Asian countries too, right?
Yeah, this is Middle East Asia country. Of course, in this today, we know with the America and Iran's war, it's good if we can increase our defense. So, if Indonesia and Korea have a make good deal, so it will be bring stability in the Southeast Asia.
Right. And Seoul is reportedly aiming to sign a deal to export 16 units of KF-21 fighter jets to Indonesia while the Indonesian president is visiting Seoul. How might this influence defense cooperation with other Southeast Asian countries? Yeah,
as I say, I think it's good news, it's positive news, because in today's global security situation, countries need to strengthen their defense. Cooperation between Indonesia and Korea can also support regional stability in Southeast Asia. When two countries work closely like this, it can create trust and encourage other countries in South Asia to cooperate more.
And I understand the two countries established diplomatic relations in 1973. How have diplomatic ties between South Korea and Indonesia evolved so far?
Right now, you mean?
Right, since 1973.
Yeah, since 1997, the relationship between Indonesia and South Korea, I think, is growing very strongly over the time. So now, it's not only about diplomacy. I think Indonesia want to make some very engagement relationship for Korea. So it's like in the simple way, I want to talk the relationship between Indonesia and Korea is like brotherhood, not just only a friend.
Right, and especially because it's so important for middle power countries to cooperate together in a time like this, right?
Yes, that's very important.
Right, and the two leaders last met at last year's APEC meeting in Gyeongju, where they discussed forming a special strategic partnership. Could you just tell us more about what this partnership entails?
Yes, special strategic partnership means a lot. It means Indonesia want to be a good partner from Korea. So it's not just only diplomacy, but it is about more than that. It's about friendship, side by side, to growing other country together in the future, sharing the prosperity. So it's mean Korea has been a very, very special country to make a partnership with Indonesia.
Right, and the summit today will definitely be able to help strengthen that relationship, right?
Yeah, to strengthen our relationship. Yeah.
I see. How might today's meeting sort of shape future relations between South Korea and Indonesia?
Yeah, this meeting between Indonesia President and the Korea President show a strong long-term commitment to defense partnership, as we know. So Indonesia is developing country and also needs strong partner like South Korea to continue to grow.
And as for economic ties, major Korean companies like Hyundai have already expanded into Indonesia, and more firms are looking to enter the Indonesian market. Why is Indonesia such an attractive market for South Korean businesses?
Yeah, because as I say, Indonesia is a very large country. We have nearly 300 million people, and that's make Indonesia a huge market. And then by 2045, Indonesia will have a strong young population. We call it generasi emas or golden generation, which supports economic growth. I think this is also one reason why many young Korean or many countries want to work with Indonesia, especially in the economic sector. And I think it's also one reason too, that's why many young Koreans are interested to study about Indonesia in my university, in Hankuk University of Foreign Studies.
I see. So a lot of students are interested in learning Indonesian language, right?
Yes. So many students want to learning about not only the language but the culture. So they want to understand Indonesia market, Indonesia economic, Indonesia landscape, Indonesia social culture, something like that.
I see. So how is Indonesian culture so different from the Korean culture?
It's not too different because we are Asia, we are a Southeast Asia, but in the some way we have the different things is about maybe food, traditional, and literature, something like that.
Right. Indonesia is especially popular for its food, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And how are going back to the economic ties? How are these two countries planning to cooperate on critical minerals?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because Indonesia have a resource, very big resource in nickel, and I read the news. Company from Korea is also get the partnership to Indonesia to make nickel to be a battery electrical vehicle. So maybe the company is LG. Yeah, LG will make some partnership with Indonesia to make our nickel to be a battery to vehicle electricity.
Right, and that's especially important at a time like this, especially when we have disruptions in energy and supply chains, right?
Yeah, we have, especially in the Middle East, what happened in the Middle East, so we have a crisis, mineral, energy, so I think it's good time for Indonesia and Korea to make some deal in the sector, mineral sector.
And what might be some other key areas that the two countries are seeking to expand in terms of economic cooperation?
I think trade, long-term investment, and electric vehicle will continue to play an important role in our relationship between Korea and Indonesia. So I think vehicle manufacturer now already Indonesia like Hyundai, Kia, yeah, they build a manufacturer in Indonesia and make a electric vehicle. So I think it's very important for economic growth.
Right, because like we just talked about, a lot of Korean companies are trying to enter the Indonesian market. And as for people-to-people exchanges and culture, how is Korean culture viewed in Indonesia? Is K-pop or K-dramas popular in Indonesia?
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, we know culture wave though is very famous around the world. Yeah, and in Indonesia, we have so many fan base, K-pop and K-drama. Also, my wife watching K-drama a lot, so she like Lee Min-ho,
Oh,
so that when BTS or Blackpink visiting Indonesia, young people in Indonesia is getting crazy. It's very excited. So I think that's very popular. It's called culture, Korean culture in Indonesia. So it's good for the market of industry creative in the future.
And we talked about Indonesian culture and how young Korean people are trying to learn the Indonesian culture and the Indonesian language. So are these young Koreans trying to get a job in Indonesia?
Yeah, I think they may have, in the future, they may want to live in Indonesia to get a job in the Korean company, especially in Indonesia, like LG, Hyundai, Kotra, because we know Korean industry in Indonesia is growing so fast. A lot of manufacturing now, not only in Jakarta, they spread in other countries like Semarang, Surabaya, also Medan. So in any sector, property, manufacture, mineral, and industry creative, cosmetic. So that's why young people in Korea is very interesting about Indonesia market in the future.
I see.
Yeah.
And I understand there is a sizable Korean community already in Indonesia, and that travel between the two countries is soaring, right?
Yeah. There is just people. I read the news. People from Indonesia can go to Korea without visa in the 5 traveling group. Yeah. So I think that's a good step to strengthen our partnership in the culture and exchange people. I hope when the partnership is growing, we have a good trust. Many people in Indonesia can go to Korea maybe without visa. So it's more easy. Korea go to Indonesia, Indonesia go to Korea.
Right. And there are many Koreans living in places like Jakarta, right?
So many, not only Jakarta, as I say, they spread it. Semarang, Surabaya. Many students in Hankuk University have family in Surabaya, in Semarang. Some students too have a brother, have a sister, live in Jakarta, live in Indonesia. So Bali, of course. And they have some business, restaurant, travel agent, something like that. So many people Korea not only live in Jakarta, but also in our city. Yeah.
I see. That's very impressive. And we're still waiting for this welcoming ceremony to begin. And back to defense cooperation between these two countries. The KF-21 fighter jet partnership will be the highlight of today's meeting, right?
Yeah, KF-21's program is very important for Indonesian defense. As I say, Indonesia want to have a good military system, and they have a good partner with the Korean, and Korea will send 16 military jet, and as the return, Indonesia will have the knowledge about the military system.
Right, right, and that will help advance defense cooperation with other Southeast Asian countries too, right?
Yeah, Asian country will be engaged if Indonesia and Korea can make a deal. Maybe Southeast country will be joined together.
Right, and right. Just to give our viewers some background, could you just explain again why South Korea and Indonesia have decided to cooperate on developing this KF-21 fighter jet together?
You mean is why South Korea want to be?
Why these two countries have decided to cooperate on this KF-21 fighter jet program? Because South Korea has the technology and South Korea doesn't have. It would be best for both countries to cooperate together to make a better fighter jet, right?
Yeah, it's good because as I say, Indonesia very huge market, but we don't have a good technology to make some jet military, good one jet. But Korea can make a good military jet, but they don't have any market, not large market. So I think it's mutual benefit between Indonesia and Korea to make this defense program in the future.
Right. So South Korea has the technology, and Indonesia has the defense market.
Correctly.
So by cooperating together, it would be in their best interest to cooperate this KF-21 fighter jet together, right?
Yes, correctly. So.
I see, and we've been talking about how Korean companies have already expanded into Indonesia and how more companies are trying to enter this market. So could you just explain why the Indonesian market is such an attractive place for South Korean businesses? Yeah,
Indonesia have more population, and also we have a very, very large country, and the city now is growing fast, not only to Jakarta. So our economy, we still have economic problem, but I think we have many population to grow the economic. Young people, generasi emas, golden generation, it will be happen in the 2045 years. 2045, yeah, and that's why Indonesia is very good market for not only Korea but in the Southeast Asia.
Right, and another issue that these two presidents are probably going to address today is cooperation on critical minerals, right?
Yeah, critical mineral, it will be main issue today because we know we have some tough with the mineral because American-Iran war. Yeah, that's why not only Indonesia and Korea to focus in this issue, but I think it will be good if South Asia to make some issue together. Mineral crisis, it will be it will be good in the future.
Right, and these two countries are trying to expand economic cooperation in other fields like trade and investment too, right?
Trade and investment, of course, this will be good things. And since 1978, Indonesia have good partnership with
1973.
Yes, with Korean, and like you say, in the 2017, Indonesia say Korea is special strategic partnership. This means we work together not only in the diplomacy, not only in defense, but in many sectors. Culture, industry, creative, manufacture, all.
Right, and you also mentioned how a lot of your Korean students are trying to learn the Indonesian language and the Indonesian culture. So how are these two countries planning to further expand people-to-people exchanges?
Yeah, my student now have a exchange student. When student in Korea study culture and language in university in Indonesia like Universitas Gadjah Mada and Universitas Indonesia. So I think it's good step for us.
I see, I see. Oh, that's very impressive. And on the screen, we now see President Lee Jae-myung and Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto. We see President Lee Jae-myung on the screen now stepping up to the podium to greet the Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto. So, Professor Riyanto, how significant is this visit, is the Indonesian President's visit to South Korea?
Yeah, of course, it's very important. Yeah, it's very, very important to Prabowo visit. This is the second one, our president going to Korea before 4 months.
Right, at the APEC Summit.
Yeah, APEC Summit. Yeah, this is the second one.
Right.
And especially, this is only for not defense program partnership, but they will increase in the many sector.
Right, there's a lot on the agenda, including, defense and economic ties, like you just mentioned, as well as culture and people-to-people exchanges. So, to just give you a brief overview, these two leaders last met during the APEC leaders meeting in October in Gyeongju. And today's summit is expected to focus on strengthening Seoul and Jakarta's special strategic partnership, particularly on defense cooperation, as Indonesia is one of South Korea's major arms export partners. So, Professor Riyanto, could you just explain what this special strategic partnership entails?
Strategic partnership between Indonesia and Korea today is about defense partnership. Key 21 program will start many years ago. And we have many change because of regional situation and international situation. But today, our president will make sure Key 21 program is runs well. Our president will get a good deal with President of Korea. So I think the meeting today is very, very important for our defense program.
Right, right. And they'll also definitely address cultural issues, right? How we just talked about how Korean culture is so popular in Indonesia. How popular exactly is K-pop and K-dramas in Indonesia?
Yeah, K-pop and K-drama is very, very popular in Indonesia. Many young people is getting crazy when artists from Korea come to Indonesia. The ticket is always sold out. For example, when Lisa Blackpink going to Jakarta, they trying Indonesian food, and it's going viral. So, because of that, many people in the world know nasi goreng and rendang. Because of what? Because Lisa Blackpink try rendang at that moment. So, I think it's good for our country, not only for Korea. Indonesia is get the things.
Right. That's why cultural exchange is so important in diplomatic relations.
Yeah.
So, to give our viewers a brief background, these two leaders last met during the APEC leaders meeting in Gyeongju in October in South Korea, and today's summit is expected to focus on strengthening Seoul and Jakarta's special strategic partnership, particularly on defense cooperation, as Indonesia is one of South Korea's major arms export partners, and a lot of attention is on how they might address the issue of exporting KF-21 fighter jets, as the two countries have been collaborating on a joint defense initiative to develop this aircraft. So, Professor Riyanto, so this defense cooperation with Indonesia will also help expand ties with other Southeast Asian countries too, right?
Yeah. So this Asia is very, very strategic for world. So I think we need to make some good partnership in the South Asia country, especially between Indonesia and Korea. If we can make a partnership, I think many countries in South Asia will be joined together. It's good if we start now, especially in the defense program, because in this time, in the war time, we need together to handle it.
Right. Is underway, and we see on the screen President Lee Jae-myung and President Subianto walking side by side. So President Lee Jae-myung and President Subianto will hold talks at the Blue House for talks on cooperation in a wide range of issues, including defense and trade. And today's summit will be followed by the signing of MOUs and a state lunch. They are expected to discuss bolstering their two countries' special strategic partnership and expanding this in many areas, including trade, investment, and defense industries, as well as the artificial intelligence and nuclear energy sectors. Also on the agenda is regional and global security, including the Middle East war that's happening between the United States, Israel, and Iran. The Indonesian president is currently on a 3-day state visit to South Korea. He last visited the country in October for the APEC leaders meeting. So, Professor Riyanto, so they will hold a summit very soon. How will today's talks help elevate diplomatic relations between these two countries?
You mean in the future?
Right.
Yeah, in the future, yeah. Today, our president visiting Korea and meet the president of South Korea. Of course, we hope president of South Korea will be going to Indonesia to meet our president and talking with investment, talking with people-to-people exchange. So that will be good to build trust and build strong partnership between two countries. This time my president visit Korea, but I hope someday president of South Korea will go to Jakarta.
Right, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So we see President Lee Jae-myung and Indonesian President Subianto shaking hands with officials from both countries, with President Lee Jae-myung welcoming his Indonesian counterpart ahead of this summit. And after this official welcoming ceremony is over, we will see them holding talks on cooperation in a wide range of areas, including defense, trade, and investment, as well as artificial intelligence and nuclear energy sectors. Also on the agenda is regional and global security, including the Middle East war. And their this talks comes as the Indonesian president is on a 3-day state visit to South Korea after he last visited the country in October for the APEC leaders meeting. And today's summit will be followed by the signing of MOUs and a state lunch. So Professor Riyanto will be talking about how cultural exchange is so important in diplomatic relations as well as economic ties. How are these two countries planning to expand cultural and people-to-people exchanges?
Yeah, I think we can start for the education. Let's that I say student exchange, it will be GATE and also G2G program when we have many people with good skill and Korea have manufacturing, so people in Indonesia can going to Korea with the G2G program when our people get a job in Korea.
Right. And that's exactly why so many young Koreans are trying to learn the Indonesian language. And I assume that a lot of young people in Indonesia are planning to learn the Korean language as well, right?
Yeah. In the Hankuk University of Foreign Study, we have a Department Malay-Indonesia established maybe in the 1943, 1946 or 47, I forget. But the start is Department Indonesia, and in the past, it will be Department Malay in Indonesia. So we have so many students and very interesting talking about Indonesian culture, want to learn Indonesian language, want to know what is literature of Indonesia, and I think is very impressive, to our program.
Right, absolutely. So we just saw President Lee Jae-myung and President Prabowo Subianto meet at the Blue House main garden. So Professor Riyanto, how do you think today's talks will play out?
Yeah, I think it's good. It's amazing, to see our president meet President of South Korea. I hope in the future, Indonesia, Korea make a good partnership, strengthen partnership, not only as a friend, but I hope it will be brother side by side and bring prosperity to our country.
Right. We'll have to see how the summit plays out today.
Oh yeah, thank you.
So, Professor Riyanto, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.